Coming up tonight on YCN News, Hanover, New Hampshire tests a European-inspired method of road lanes to help pedestrians and drivers share the road. An explosion inside the Claremont Middle School brings fire alarms and trucks through the city's downtown. And the Upper Valley's Northern Stage holds its groundbreaking ceremony for a new theater building. For more news, weather, and sports, it's time for YCN, your local view.
Now, your daily digest of the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region, southern Vermont, and Windsor County. News, sports, weather, and all that is happening in our area. The news on YCN, your local view.
Good evening, and welcome to this Thursday edition of YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. The town of Hanover, New Hampshire is taking new strides to test a European-inspired method of road lanes to allow pedestrians, bikers, and drivers a safe alternative to sharing the road. Called suggestion or advisory lanes, dashed white lines have been placed on either side of Valley Road in the town, providing pedestrians and drivers suggested lanes of travel. Let's hear more from the Director of Public Works and the Chief of Police on how the new lanes have come about and how the public is reacting to them.
This discussion came about from our Bike Pedestrian Committee. Was working on a master plan to look at all our streets to try to make them more pedestrian and bicycle friendly. Very energetic community with a lot of people who like to walk and use bicycles, but we don't have a lot of facilities in some of our streets. So we were looking for methods to try to accommodate more bikes and pedestrians within the paved areas without actually building more sidewalks, just because of the expense to start with. So we had hired a consultant to take a look at some of the ideas that have been used in other parts of the country and in the world, and they came up with an idea called suggestion lanes or advisory lanes. I'm not sure which is the correct term, but we suggest you use the advisory lane, so you could use it either way. So it was intended to be used in low volume and low speed streets. So there's already pedestrians and bicyclists using this particular street. Perfect test spot. There was nothing in the road already, so we could add lines, we could add some signs, and try to see how it functioned. Seeing if the cars really travel in the middle and the bicycles and pedestrians on the side like you would do on a fairly narrow road. We're trying to look at the how to measure success by people actually following it, is actually slowing traffic down, to get more people using the roadway.
So far, we've had nothing but positive comments coming back. Staff talked to some people last week, some local residents that live in that area, said they've noticed a good positive change, that they felt safer walking within the advisory lanes. One of the residents that we spoke to lived in that area, was not real sure when they were going to put these lanes in if they would work and be successful. And now that they've been put in, he's changing his mind, feeling like it was a good move. I talked to two different people this morning. One was an older man and woman that were walking, said that they've noticed a big change having the advisory lanes. They feel safer walking. They also said they noticed that they saw a group of teens that used to walk down the middle of the street, now walking within the advisory lanes that are on Valley Road.
The idea of the lanes is to keep pedestrians and bikers within a safe zone on the side of the road, allowing cars to pass by. And if there are no pedestrians and two cars passing on either side, the cars can cross over the lines as needed. This is the first road in the town to be tested, but with increasing success, others may be subject to the suggestion lanes as well. If you'd like to learn more, go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/YCNNewsNow for a link to the Hanover website. It was a scary few moments yesterday afternoon when the blare of fire alarms and trucks roared in downtown Claremont en route to the Claremont Middle School. In the end, what turned out to be an explosion of the school's new heating system did not cause any injuries. Damage was contained to the boiler room, the Eagle Times reports. Built-up gas in two boilers led to the explosion, which happened around 3 p.m. There was an emergency evacuation at the South Street School. Fire trucks responded around 3:16 p.m. Most students and staff had already left school for the day. Principal Paulette Fitzgerald tells the newspaper. Later yesterday evening, School Renovation Committee Chairman David Putnam told school board members the explosion knocked some loose paint off the walls. A warranty on the boilers will pay for any damages. Taxpayers will not have to foot the repair bill, Putnam says. Inspectors from Johnson Controls will work with other heating and exhaust system experts to study and fix boiler-related problems. Johnson Controls is the company coordinating heating and window upgrades at the high school and middle school as part of building renovations. At least one sign popping up from traffic islands in Claremont is in support of passage of a proposed new city charter. Tonight's the night for another public information hearing at City Hall regarding changing the 11-year-old charter. 3 of the Charter Commission's 9 members, including its chairman, George Cacavero, say they will oppose changing the existing charter. Other panel members are in favor of a change, which would have an elected mayor instead of an appointed city manager guide the city's finances and direction. Those in favor of the change say it will give more power to residents. Those opposed to the new charter say it will set the city's progress over the last several years back decades. It will be up to Claremont's registered voters to approve or not the charter change. The vote is set for November 4th, the day of the general election. YCN News will bring you more results tomorrow from tonight's meeting. The link between heroin addiction and misuse of prescription opioids is made apparent in a report out today from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. New Hampshire is among 28 states nationwide where deaths from fatal heroin overdoses outnumbered overdoses of prescription painkillers. Still, twice as many people died from prescription opioid overdoses as died from heroin in these states in 2012. Driving the increase in heroin overdoses is the availability of both prescription opioid exposure and increased heroin supply. While the majority of prescription opioid users do not become heroin users, previous research found that approximately 3 out of 4 new heroin users report having abused prescription opioids prior to using heroin, the report states. CDC Director Dr. Tom Frieden says addressing prescription opioid abuse by changing prescribing practices is likely to prevent heroin use in the long term. When YCN News returns, Northern Stage holds a groundbreaking ceremony for their new theater building in the Upper Valley, and town leaders in Rockingham and Bellows Falls, Vermont consider merging municipal services.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. This afternoon, the Upper Valley Theater Company Northern Stage held its groundbreaking ceremony for a new theater building to be located in White River Junction, Vermont. Crowds gathered to celebrate with sponsors, board members, and all involved in the theater's past, present, and future. Carol Dunn, artistic director of Northern Stage, put it best in her speech about the theater's success.
In the American theater, we don't build theaters very often. We close theaters all the time because modern culture has a lot of distraction. There are a lot of people who are not given the gift of theater when they're young, so they don't know to love it like we all do. And so everybody standing here is a part of really a miracle of building a new home for a theater in a fairly rural, small area that has an incredible impact on everyone that comes into contact with it.
How did the building of this new theater come about?
It came about as a result of a wonderful group of patrons, artists, people that imagined a future for Northern Stage. We started back in 1987. Brooke Chardelli and her mother founded this organization. In 2008, we took it upon ourselves to go out there and say, community, should we build a new theater? And they said yes, in 72-point bold characters. Unfortunately, in September of 2008, we all know what happened, and we had to shelve those plans. Fast forward the tape to February of last year, February 2013. We came together as a team. We came together as donors and patrons and producers and underwriters. The list goes on and on and on. But we are 78% of the way there toward a $9 million campaign that is going to bring a new theater to the audience of the Upper Valley. I couldn't be more proud on behalf of the board of directors and anyone who sat in a seat or walked on our stage or bought a ticket or dreamed a dream about what it takes to tell wonderful stories. We're going to make it happen. Thank you.
The campaign for Northern Stage has successfully raised a majority of funds needed in the past 6 months. With a few more million to go, every donation will help this project that will bring a new home to the arts in the Upper Valley. If you're interested in donating or learning more, go to their website at northernstage.org. Town leaders in Rockingham and Bellows Falls, Vermont are again considering merging municipal services. Bellows Falls is a village within Rockingham. Rockingham Select Board Chairman Thomas McPhee says the public will be involved in discussions and decisions going forward, the Eagle Times reports. Reducing the tax burden on residents would be a goal of combining 2 different governing boards. Saxton's River also is a village within Rockingham, yet it is not yet known if village trustees will join their Bellows Falls counterparts in talks with Rockingham officials. There's a literary festival this weekend in Brattleboro that you may want to check out. Author readings, programs geared to young writers, showcases of historic books, and ephemera. The schedule is packed. To learn more, go to brattleboro.literaryfestival.org. When YCN News returns, we'll look at a segment from Upper Valley Chronicles.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. Now Matt McDonald will have a look at our weather for the next few days and then move on to sports.
Thanks, Rose. Tonight we'll have mostly cloudy skies with lows in the 50s. Tomorrow will be sunny with a high of 68 degrees and winds around 5 miles per hour. Tomorrow night we'll have lows in the 50s and winds around 5 miles per hour. Saturday after 5 a.m. we have a 30% chance of rain, and we'll get patches of fog before 7 a.m. Showers will then continue with an 80% chance of rain after 11 a.m. We'll have highs in the 60s and winds up to 10 miles per hour. Saturday night rain is expected to continue with lows in the 40s. As you can see here, we are free from storms, but skies may continue to be cloudy until the showers roll in. And now it's time for our fall foliage report. We will keep you updated on the turning of the foliage in New Hampshire and Vermont counties. Now let's see what's coming up on our community calendar. Tomorrow in New Hampshire, the Cornish Select Board will meet at 3 p.m. In Queechee, a fall foliage book sale is taking place at the Queechee Public Library starting at 10 a.m. Don't forget about the First Friday event in New London. There will be free music and a photography exhibit starting at 5:30 p.m. Remember, you can submit local events from your community by sending them to news@ycnnow.com. And now let's take a look at local high school sports, specifically girls soccer. There were 2 games that took place last night involving our local teams. One game was with Kearsarge and Campbell. There were overcast skies last night and then eventually rain near the end of the game. After fierce play by Campbell, they managed to defeat our local Kearsarge team. The final score was 4-1. In the second game of the evening, Lebanon faced Trinity, and Lebanon went full force into the fray. They pulled off an amazing win.
Thanks, Matt. When YCN News continues, we'll join Capital Connections' John O'Connor, who met with Steve Smith, representative of the New Hampshire House.
The YCN News continues in a moment.